Lily's world is about to change forever. Pregnant at 19, she faces the impossible choice of picking between her boyfriend Jake and her mother, who disapproves of him. With tension mounting from both sides, Lily must navigate the complexities of family, love, and the looming responsibilities of motherhood. Will she be able to hold on to her relationship, or will family expectations tear her apart? Lily, a 19-year-old college student, had always imagined her life unfolding in a certain way: secure, independent, and full of opportunities. A freshman at a well-respected university, she was doing what many young people only dreamed of: navigating the complexities of higher education, making new friends, and exploring her passions. But everything changed when she found out she was pregnant. At 3 months along, her world had been turned upside down. Lily had never planned for this. It wasn't that she hadn't wanted children someday, it was just that she had imagined it much later in life, when she had more stability, more control over her future. Now she was faced with the reality of becoming a mother at a time when everything seemed uncertain. The excitement was there, but it was overwhelmed by an undercurrent of fear and anxiety. How was she supposed to juggle college, her relationship with Jake, and the pressure of impending motherhood all at once? The weight of it all began to settle in. The loudest pressure came from her mother. "You need to think about your future," Lily, her mother, had said countless times. "You're young, you can't throw it all away for a boy." Her mother's voice, once a source of comfort, now seemed like an insistent hammer, knocking away any hope of clarity. Lily loved her mom, but she wasn't sure if she could ever live up to her expectations. As the days went by, the emotional toll began to show. Late at night, when Lily would lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her thoughts raced. Was she making the right decision? Could she truly handle everything that was coming her way? Each choice seemed to lead to more questions. Should she continue with her education? Should she marry Jake and start a family right away? Or should she listen to her mom and choose a path that made more sense, one where she didn't have to give up her future for something she was still coming to terms with? In these moments of uncertainty, Lily couldn't help but wonder, was her life ever going to be the way she had dreamed it would be? Or was she now living someone else's version of it? The inner conflict consumed her, and the more she thought about it, the more she realized that the path ahead wasn't going to be easy. There would be no simple answers, no clear-cut right or wrong decision. It was all a matter of what felt right to her, even if it meant going against her mother's wishes. Lily and Jake's relationship wasn't the typical high school romance that fizzled out after graduation. It was one that had stood the test of time, built on years of shared experiences, growing pains, and a bond that seemed unbreakable. They met when they were 15, both struggling to find their place in the world, and together they found comfort in each other's company. Jake, with his rugged good looks and a passion for fixing cars, had always been someone Lily admired, not just for his skills, but for the way he made her feel special, like she mattered in a way no one else ever had. Though their relationship had started like many young love stories, sweet and innocent, it had deepened over the years. As they moved through high school, their connection only grew stronger, with Jake becoming Lily's safe haven, the person she turned to for comfort, for love, and for understanding. But high school was also a time of transition, and after graduation, their worlds began to drift apart. Jake had a dream of becoming a professional mechanic, a dream that required him to leave their small town and move to a nearby city for training. While it was a necessary step for his future, it created distance between them that neither had been prepared for. The first few months were hard, filled with long-distance calls and weekend visits, but they made it work. Their relationship had always been grounded in trust and mutual respect, and it was those qualities that kept them going. Over time, though, the challenges of maintaining a long-distance relationship began to wear on Lily. College life consumed her, and she found herself trying to balance her academic responsibilities with the emotional demands of maintaining a relationship. It wasn't that she didn't love Jake, she did deeply. But as the months passed, doubts crept in, leaving her questioning whether this was still the right path for both of them. When Lily found out she was pregnant, it wasn't a moment of pure joy. It was a moment filled with confusion, fear, and the weight of responsibility. Jake, on the other hand, seemed to take it all in stride. He promised her that they would figure things out together, that they would make it work. But Lily couldn't help but wonder, was this really the right time to start a family? Did she want to bring a child into a relationship that was already being tested by distance, by doubts, and by the pressure of their family's expectations? As the tension built, Lily began to question everything about their relationship. Would Jake's ambition to become a successful mechanic lead him away from her even further? Or would he find a way to be the partner she needed in this new chapter of her life? This relationship, once so certain, was now fraught with uncertainty, and the decision she had to make could change everything. As Lily's pregnancy progressed, so did the pressure from her mother. Lily had always been close with her mom, but their relationship had started to show cracks as the weight of impending motherhood began to loom over them. Her mom, a strong-willed woman who had worked hard to provide for Lily and her younger brother after their father's early passing, was determined that her daughter would not make the same mistakes she had. She believed that Lily's future was too important to jeopardize by having a child too soon, especially with a boyfriend like Jake, whose family didn't seem to treat Lily with the respect she deserved. It wasn't just about the pregnancy. It was the whole package: the relationship, Jake's uncertain future, and Lily's ability to continue her education and career goals. Her mother's well-intentioned concern often felt suffocating. Every conversation turned into an interrogation. "Lily, are you sure you can handle this? You've got so much potential ahead of you. Are you willing to throw that away for Jake?" Her mother's voice was always laced with worry, but to Lily it felt like judgment. What hurt the most was the underlying message her mother seemed to send: that Lily wasn't capable of making her own decisions. That Lily, in her mother's eyes, wasn't ready to become a mother herself. It wasn't just about the pregnancy, it was about the perception that Lily wasn't mature enough, that she had chosen the wrong partner, and that she had failed in some way by being in this situation at all. Her mother's words echoed in her mind, especially when she lay awake at night wondering if her mom was right. Had she rushed into this relationship with Jake? Was she ready to give up her dreams for the sake of a family she wasn't sure she could support? But deep down, Lily knew something her mother didn't fully understand: she was capable. She might not have all the answers, but she had Jake, and they were in this together. The more her mom pushed, the more Lily felt the need to push back. But what did that mean? Choosing her boyfriend over her family. Choosing her future as a mother, regardless of the consequences. The tension was unbearable, and every conversation with her mom seemed to push them further apart. But no matter what, Lily knew she had to make the decision herself. The question was, would she have the courage to follow her heart, despite her mother's warnings, or would she give in to the pressure and risk losing everything she cared about? While Lily was grappling with her own family's expectations, the other side of the coin was just as complicated. Jake's family had never fully accepted her, and over time it became increasingly clear that her presence wasn't exactly welcomed. They weren't outright hostile, but there was a noticeable distance, an invisible wall between Lily and Jake's relatives. It wasn't something she had expected, especially after they had been together for so long. At first, Lily brushed off the coldness. After all, families could be difficult, and she didn't want to make things worse by trying too hard to be liked. But as Lily's pregnancy became more obvious, the tension grew. Jake's mother, in particular, had a critical attitude toward Lily. The passive-aggressive comments about her age, her education, and her readiness for motherhood became more frequent. She didn't think Lily was capable of handling the responsibility of a child at her age. And it didn't help that Jake's younger sister, a popular figure in their social circle, had made it clear that she didn't approve of their relationship, let alone the pregnancy. "You know, you could do better," she'd said to Jake more than once, never acknowledging Lily as more than a fleeting presence in his life. Lily was no stranger to awkward family dinners or uncomfortable silences. But now, with her pregnancy becoming the focal point of every family gathering, she couldn't ignore the tension any longer. Jake's family began to make her feel like an outsider in the very relationship she was trying to build a future in. They weren't cruel, but their subtle disapproval felt like a constant reminder that she didn't belong. For Lily, the emotional weight of dealing with Jake's family was almost as heavy as the pressure from her own mother. Every time she confronted Jake about how his family treated her, he would brush it off, assuring her that things would improve. But deep down, she wondered if she was just being naive. Would they ever truly accept her? And if they didn't, how could she expect to raise a child in a family where she wasn't fully embraced? Jake always stood up for her, but it seemed like his family never really took him seriously, and Lily couldn't help but wonder if she was somehow responsible for the divide between them. As the weeks went by, the distance between Lily and Jake's family grew, and so did her fears. Would Jake stand by her when it mattered most, or would his family's influence eventually tear them apart? The more Lily thought about it, the more she questioned her place in Jake's life. Was she truly the one he wanted to build a future with, or was she just another obstacle to be dealt with? The mounting pressure from both families was beginning to feel like a war that Lily was caught in the middle of, and the uncertainty of her future made every decision that much harder to face. The emotional weight of Lily's situation began to reach a boiling point, and she realized that avoiding the conversation with Jake about their future would only make things worse. The pressure from her family, coupled with the tension surrounding their relationship, had been eating away at her. It was time to face the reality of their situation, time to face Jake. One evening, after a particularly tense family dinner where Jake's mother had made another one of her cutting remarks about the pregnancy, Lily couldn't hold back anymore. She had to know where Jake stood. She needed to hear from him, really hear it, whether he was ready to be a partner in this journey, no matter the challenges that lay ahead. But the conversation didn't come easily. Sitting on the worn-out couch in their shared apartment, the air thick with unspoken words, Lily turned to Jake. His gaze was soft, but there was a nervousness to him. He knew the conversation was coming. "Jake, we need to talk about what happens next. I can't keep wondering whether you're on the same page as me," she said, her voice trembling but firm. Jake looked at her, his expression a mixture of confusion and concern. "What do you mean, Lel? You know I'm here for you. I always have been. Nothing's changed." Lily's heart ached at his words, but the uncertainty lingered. "I don't know if that's enough anymore. I need to know that you're in this with me, Jake. I need to know that we can make this work, no matter what happens with our families, no matter how tough things get." Jake was silent for a moment, as if contemplating the weight of her words. Then, he took a deep breath, looking her in the eyes with determination. "I'm with you, always. I don't care what anyone thinks. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure we're okay." But Lily wasn't convinced, not entirely. She needed more than words. She needed to hear about their plans, how they would navigate the challenges of parenting, finances, and their future together. The thought of being a mother in this unpredictable, uncertain relationship left her feeling more uncertain than ever. "Are you willing to fight for us, Jake? Because this is going to be hard. We're both young, we're both figuring things out. It's not just about us anymore. It's about a family, our family." Jake's eyes softened as he nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. He pulled her into a tight embrace, and for a moment, the weight of the world seemed to lift. But Lily knew that this conversation was just the beginning. The real work would come when the pressure of their families, their dreams, and their love all collided. She could only hope that Jake would prove to be as steadfast as he promised. As Lily continued to process her conversation with Jake, the weight of her mother's disapproval hung over her like a dark cloud. It wasn't just the harsh words, it was the feeling that no matter what she did, she would never be enough in her mother's eyes. The closer Lily got to her due date, the more she realized that something needed to change between them. The tension was too much to ignore, and Lily knew that in order to move forward, she would have to stand up to her mom. It happened one Sunday afternoon during one of their routine phone calls. Her mom's voice was as sharp as ever, lecturing Lily on her responsibilities, on how she needed to think about her future, and not throw it all away. "You're not just ruining your life, Lily. You're ruining your chances at a career, your independence," her mother said, her voice filled with concern and disappointment. "You need to think this through." Lily's heart raced. The words her mother spoke felt like a betrayal. How could she not see how hard Lily was trying to make it work? How could she not understand that Lily was scared but also determined? With every ounce of courage she could muster, Lily spoke. Mom, I know you think you're helping, but I'm not a child anymore. I can't keep living my life based on what you want. This is my decision and I have to live with it. I know it's not what you envisioned, but it's what I need. I'm having this baby, and I'm doing it with Jake. I want to build a future with him, and if that means making some tough choices, then so be it. Her mother fell silent on the other end of the line. It wasn't the reaction Lily expected. Instead of the usual lecture, there was only silence, followed by a soft sigh. I just want what's best for you, Lily. I'm scared for you. Lily's anger softened, replaced with a deep sense of sadness. I know you are, but I'm not asking for your approval. I'm asking for your support. I don't want to keep hiding who I am and what I want, just to make you happy. When the conversation ended, Lily felt a weight lift off her chest. It wasn't an easy moment, but it was necessary. For the first time in months, she felt like she was taking control of her life. She wasn't letting anyone else dictate her future, not her mother, not Jake's family, and not anyone else. But standing up to her mother wasn't the end of Lily's journey. It was a step toward the independence she craved. Now, with Jake by her side and her decision made, she could focus on what really mattered: the future she would create for her child and herself, one step at a time. Despite the emotional breakthroughs, the weight of the challenges Lily faced continued to haunt her. As her pregnancy progressed, she found herself grappling with growing fears about the future. The reality of becoming a mother at a young age was daunting enough, but the uncertainty about how she and Jake would handle everything together made it even more terrifying. Lily's mind was a constant swirl of worries. She feared that the love she and Jake had would be tested in ways they couldn't imagine. What if they weren't able to provide a stable environment for their child? What if Jake's family's disapproval would eventually tear them apart? And what about her own career and education? She had dreams, ambitions that extended far beyond being a mother, but could she still pursue them now that her life had shifted in such a significant way? The pressure mounted, and with each passing day, Lily felt like she was being pulled in different directions. She wanted to be the kind of mother who was strong and prepared, but how could she do that when she felt unprepared herself? The idea of having a baby at such a young age without the support of a stable career or a perfect family unit was terrifying. Every time she looked at her growing belly, the realization that she was about to bring a new life into the world hit her with a mixture of excitement and overwhelming dread. Jake noticed the changes in her, the quiet moments when she would stare into space, her brow furrowed with worry. He tried to reassure her, but Lily couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. She needed more than words. She needed to feel like she was truly supported, that they were truly ready for what was coming. The love they shared wasn't enough to erase her fears that her life would no longer be her own, that she would lose herself in the process of raising a child. But then, during one of their late-night conversations, Jake pulled her close and made her promise that they would tackle everything together. We'll figure this out. We've made it this far, and we're going to make it through everything that comes next, together. We'll build this life step by step. But for the first time in a long while, Lily felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they didn't have all the answers, but they had each other. That was the first step toward calming her fears. It wouldn't be easy, and there would be moments of doubt, but Lily knew that as long as they stood united, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the pregnancy entered its final months, the tension with Jake's family reached a breaking point. Lily could no longer ignore the subtle hostility, the whispered judgments, and the coldness that came every time she walked into a family gathering. She felt like a stranger in the very place that was supposed to offer her support. And for Jake, the silence from his family was deafening. They had always been close, but now his loyalty was being tested in ways neither of them expected. Lily knew she couldn't continue to live in this uncomfortable limbo, and neither could Jake. Something had to give. After a particularly harsh comment from Jake's mother about their future as parents, Lily had enough. She could no longer tolerate the constant undermining of their relationship, nor could she stay silent while her future, her child's future, and her relationship with Jake were being questioned by people who weren't willing to respect their decisions. With a mix of determination and anxiety, Lily called Jake and told him they needed to address the issue once and for all. We can't keep pretending that everything is okay when it's not, she said firmly. Jake, though hesitant, agreed. He knew it wasn't going to be easy, but he understood why it had to happen. The following weekend, Jake arranged a family gathering. Lily braced herself for the confrontation, her heart pounding in her chest. When they walked into his parents' home, the cold silence greeted them immediately. His mother's disapproving look met her gaze, and the tension in the room was palpable. Lily could feel her nerves building, but she knew this was her moment. This was the time to stand up for herself and for her future with Jake. As the conversation unfolded, with every word she spoke, Lily felt herself growing more powerful. I don't need your approval to make my own decisions, and I'm not going to let anyone undermine my relationship with Jake or my ability to be a good mother, Lily said, her voice steady and firm. We've made our choices, and we're going to be okay. Jake's mother tried to argue, but for once, Jake didn't back down. He stood by Lily's side, supporting her as they both addressed the hurtful things his family had said. The confrontation wasn't easy, and there were plenty of uncomfortable moments, but in the end, they made it clear that their love was not up for negotiation. They weren't asking for anyone's approval, they were asking for respect. By the end of the conversation, it was clear that Jake's family would need time to adjust, but Lily had finally taken control of the situation. For the first time, she felt that she had gained some measure of respect from the people who had never fully accepted her. The road ahead was still uncertain, but the confidence Lily gained from standing her ground gave her the strength she needed to face the challenges ahead. She wasn't alone in this anymore. She had Jake, and now they had each other's families to face together. As Lily's due date grew closer, the pressure of her fractured family dynamics weighed heavily on her. There were days when the uncertainty felt unbearable. The tension between her and her mother still lingered, unresolved, as if their relationship was suspended in a delicate balance, teetering on the edge of disaster. At the same time, Lily's fear of Jake's family disapproving of her motherhood only seemed to deepen. They had never truly accepted her into their fold, and the idea of being forced to navigate this new chapter of her life without their support was crushing. She tried to focus on the excitement of preparing for her baby, arranging the nursery, picking out clothes, and making plans with Jake for the future. But no matter how hard she tried to block it out, the looming tension was always there, like an invisible weight on her chest. The support she had hoped for from her own mother was practically non-existent, leaving her with an aching sense of abandonment. One night, as Lily sat in the nursery, staring at the baby clothes she had carefully folded, her phone buzzed with a text from her mom. I hope you know that I'm only concerned about you. I still don't think you should go through with this. You're too young. The words stung. How could her own mother still not see that Lily had made up her mind? She had made the decision to keep her child, to step into motherhood with Jake, despite the risks, despite the doubts. Yet here she was again, fighting for approval, fighting for acceptance. She shared her frustration with Jake that evening. I don't understand, Jake. I don't know what she wants from me. She doesn't think I'm ready, but I am. We've talked about this. We've made our plans. Why can't she see that? Jake, ever patient and understanding, pulled her into a tight hug. You don't need her approval to be a great mom. You don't need anyone else's approval either. What matters is what we've decided, and we're going to do it together. It's okay if she can't accept it now, but we'll be all right. Lily wanted so badly to believe that. She wanted to believe that she and Jake could carve out a future on their own, no matter what happened with their families. But as the due date loomed closer, she couldn't help but feel like she was walking through a storm, alone, even with Jake by her side. She wasn't sure how her mother would react when the baby finally arrived, and whether Jake's family would ever accept her role as a mother. All she knew was that she couldn't turn back now. The day Lily had been anxiously awaiting finally arrived. The pain of labor, the emotional highs and lows, and the exhaustion of hours of waiting, all of it culminated in the arrival of her baby. When Lily finally held her child in her arms for the first time, everything else faded away. The anxieties, the pressure, the doubts, they all seemed so insignificant in comparison to the tiny life she was now responsible for. For the first time in months, she felt a peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. Jake was by her side, his hand in hers, supporting her through every contraction and every moment of uncertainty. He had promised that they would face this together, and he had kept that promise. Together, they welcomed their child into the world, a beautiful moment that, in many ways, symbolized the new chapter of their lives. But the journey wasn't over. The real test would come in the days, weeks, and months that followed. Lily had always dreamed of becoming a mother, but the reality of it was far more complex than she had ever imagined. There were sleepless nights, moments of doubt, and struggles with adjusting to a life she hadn't planned for. There were still unresolved issues with her family and Jake's family, and Lily couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking a tightrope, trying to balance her new responsibilities with the expectations that others had placed on her. Despite all the challenges, there was a strength in Lily she had never known before. She looked at her baby, swaddled in her arms, and felt a deep, undeniable love that transcended everything. It didn't matter if her mother wasn't fully supportive, or if Jake's family still had reservations. What mattered was that she was a mother, and her baby needed her just as much as she needed her child. As days turned into weeks, Lily found herself growing into her new role, one step at a time. It wasn't perfect, and there were still difficult conversations to be had with her mother and Jake's family. But as she watched Jake tenderly care for their child, Lily knew they were building something real. Together, they were creating their own family, their own future, in a world that seemed more uncertain with every passing day. The birth of Lily's child marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just as a mother, but as someone who had fought for her choices, her future, and the family she had chosen to create. With Jake by her side and the love she had for her baby, Lily finally understood that family didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be real. Thanks for watching. If you connected with Lily's journey and enjoyed the story, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more heartfelt stories that dive into the complexities of love, family, and personal growth. Your support means the world. See you next time.